in the studio with us right now, Dan Rush. He's the director of Medical Cannabis and Hemp Division of the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union, CLC. And he is in the organizing department. So you're basically a union organizer for the medical marijuana industry, or the cannabis industry, as I prefer to consider it, correct?
That's right, Terry.
Whoops, I guess it would help if I turned your mic on.
There you go.
Yay.
Okay there now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So in the labor movement, being called an organizer is like the greatest gift. It's the biggest goal that a union person can have. So yeah, I'm proud to be a union organizer.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. That's powerful stuff, man. You're bringing people together. And, you know, what I love about what you're doing here, and just to give some people, we're going to talk a little bit about your background and what the UFCW plans to do. But the fact that you're actually offering the growers some kind of structure to work within to help legitimatize their business, I think that's really awesome.
So yeah, and we are the Medical Cannabis and Hemp Industries Union. I've been organizing medical cannabis and hemp workers for since 2009, Thanksgiving of 2009, when I figured out that Proposition 19 was going to create about 100,000 jobs in California. And UFCW is the Retail, Agriculture, Food Processing, Pharmacies, and Textiles Industries Union. And the medical cannabis and hemp industries just happen to be retail, agriculture, food processing, pharmacies, and textiles industries. And so we have to be careful about using the word retail. So we're talking about dispensing in a commercial establishment when we softly refer to retail in the medical cannabis industry. So I was looking at Oaksterdam at the time. I live in Oakland. My office is in Washington, D.C., and I live about a mile from Oaksterdam University. So I had been watching this economic revitalization happen for a few years, several years, and I didn't really understand what was going on in downtown Oakland, but downtown Oakland is very near and dear to me. It's where my grandma and I used to go shopping every day, and we'd take the bus to downtown Oakland and go to the shopping district there. And so when I saw this economic revitalization happening after the crack era in the 80s, and I was pleased to see this going on, but I had no idea that it had to do with medical cannabis.
Surprise!
And then Thanksgiving 2009, before I became the director of the Medical Cannabis and Hemp Division, I was the Special Operations Director for UFCW Local 5. What that means is that I ran statewide ballots for UFCW in Local 5, and so I was always looking for new statewide ballot issues to help our members, to create jobs or things that would bother our members. And so I kept bumping into all these gosh darn cannabis initiatives. And Thanksgiving is when you look for this stuff, because whatever's going on the internet this Thanksgiving is what's going to be on next November's ballot. So I finally got tired of stumbling over these initiatives, and I noticed that one of them had 1600 Broadway as the address for the campaign. Well, that's a stone's throw from my house. And so that was a Saturday of Thanksgiving, so I jumped on my motorcycle Sunday, and I said, if this campaign has any value, there'll be a bunch of nerdy hacks in there with laptops on a Thanksgiving Sunday. And I jumped on my motorcycle, I rode down there and looked in the window, and here was a bunch of nerdy hacks. I knocked on the window, and one of the nerdy hacks happened to be a political consultant that I know, Doug Linney. And Doug came to the door, and he said, what the heck are you doing here? And I said, well, what the heck are you doing here? And he said, well, I'm running this campaign. And I said, well, Doug, UFCW, we're the Retail, Agriculture, Food Processing, Pharmacies, and Textiles Industries Union, and it looks like you're going to create some jobs in that. And so Doug, knowing me, he said, well, come on in, because there wasn't really a lot of people with statewide experience in there. I met Richard Lee, I met Dale Jones, I met Jeff Jones. At the time, Dale Jones's name was God, I can't even remember anymore. Dale Sky Jones. Her and Jeff got married. So I looked at the initiative. I went back to UFCW. I said, if we endorse this initiative, I'll bet they'll join our union. So I went back to Oaksterdam, and I said, if you bring this school into our union, we might endorse your initiative. And so it happened there. We organized 120 Oaksterdam workers from the school to the Blue Sky dispensary to the Oakland Patient ID Center, AMCD Inc., OCC, so Oakland Collective Care, and then it kicked it off, and now we're in Colorado, California, Washington, and Oregon, and growing.
Wow, really? That is so cool. What about Colorado? Are you going to get something going in there? Or?
Oh, yeah, we've got hundreds of members in Colorado, and we had hundreds more, but we lost the Fort Collins ballot.
Oh.
Wiped out 300 of our members in an entire industry, but we're back on the ballot in Fort Collins, and we're hoping that we're going to get our members back there.
Excellent.
And, yeah.
And how have you been doing here in Lake County?
We've got a couple of hundred members here in Lake County, and the number is growing.
Nice.
And so I had to start an affiliate program. My special projects director, Matt Whitmire, came up here. We all came up for the kickoff of the Lake County urgency ordinance. And so Matt and I were here, and we said, well, since there aren't any employers here, and you really have to be an employee of an employer to be a union member.
Oh.
We created a whole affiliate member program. And so for $15 a month, you can join UFCW as long as you're a dignified, sincere, determined to be compliant farmer. Mm-hmm. And you have a dignified and safe farm. Mm-hmm. And you're part of a collective, and you're part of the closed loop.
So they have to be completely legitimate as far as what they represent. And
absolutely.
Okay. And how are you dealing with the larger grows that are gaining all the federal attention right now?
Well, frankly, if you're not compliant and you're not determined to be compliant, we're not for you.
Well, everybody that grows more than 100 plants, according to the feds, are going to be targeted, and some people have been targeted with less. So, how do you draw the line there about compliance? Because they may be compliant with state law, but they're not compliant with federal law, so the feds are going to come in now. Will UFCW do anything to protect those people that are being targeted under those type of terms?
So what we do, and as we all know, there's nothing compliant with the federal government. And I've had my ups and downs with a few of the U.S. attorneys, and I'm not going to mention any names.
Aww.
Oh, come on.
Although I can say that two of them I have found to be really sincere people.
Oh, that's good.
And there are talks going on at many levels. We're a very large union.
Mm-hmm. We're third largest in the world, is that correct?
We're the largest, depending on what time of day it is. But we are most certainly the largest retail, agriculture, food processing, textiles industries union in North America, and we're in the top 5 in the world.
In the world, okay.
Yeah,
that's huge.
We're a large union.
Yeah,
we're 1.3 million members just here in North America.
So you bring a lot to the table as being a member. There is something solid there for a member.
There is absolutely, certainly direction and stability and leadership and determination in UFCW. And when you become a member of UFCW, you are becoming part of what is the driving force in stabilizing a thriving and healthy and decent, sincere, compliant, courteous industry. And that's our goal. And when I talk about compliance, because there are so many varying stages of insanity in what's going on in the law in California, when we talk about compliance, that begins with an on-the-ground local compliance, and whether or not there is one, there must be a determination in your heart and in your actions as a member of UFCW to create, to be part of compliant industry. So that means we're going to work on an ordinance locally.
To legitimatize it.
Yeah. As far as the state compliance goes, you must be MMIP 420, Prop 215 compliant. And we're familiar. We're all aware of the ambiguities that are created in those. So where there is not a local ordinance, we're determined to create one. Where there is, we're determined to provide the public and political education to elected officials to allow them to find their place in creating a healthy and thriving, productive ordinance. And as far as the state goes, myself and Steph Shear, National Director of ASA, and Dale Geringer, California Director of NORML, Don Duncan, California Director of ASA.
That's Americans for Safe Access?
Correct, yes, which we have a new chapter of here.
In Lake County?
Correct.
Oh, super.
Yes,
okay.
We brought them.
They're
ASA,
so powerful, too. I love them.
ASA and UFCW are married.
Oh, okay.
As Steph Shear often reminds me when she's throwing things at me. And so also Kristen Nevedal from the Emerald Growers Association, which is statewide and becoming a national organization for outdoor cultivators.
Nice.
And many, many, many other organizations got together and we created AB 2312, which at the time we had intended to be a statewide ballot initiative that was known as the Medical Marijuana Regulation, Control, and Taxation Act, which Assemblymember Tom Amiano promptly filed as a piece of legislation in sort of a companion sort of concept. Typically, when you run when you start to develop a statewide ballot initiative, it's sometimes a good idea strategically at the right time to file a companion legislation that is similar to the statewide ballot initiative that you set out to get signatures for to get on the ballot. Assemblymember Tom Amiano, and cannabis being his legacy issue, was glad to file the Medical Marijuana Regulation and Control Act, minus the taxation, because if you put taxes in, then you have to have a 2/3 vote, rather than without taxes, it's just a majority rule. We drafted and implemented AB 2312. Assemblymember Amiano filed it, sponsored it. We got through the Assembly, all the way through the Assembly, and we are now in the Senate Business and Professions Committee going through what is called a sunrise analysis. Excuse me, sorry.
Must have been a good breakfast.
There's a drunken spider on the floor.
That's all right, a frog always follows me.
Yeah. So we're getting a sunshine analysis, which is what is typically happens when you create a new industry. Senate Business and Professions kind of takes your piece of legislation and shines some sunshine on it, and kind of
they're examining it basically and checking to make sure everything is.
Basically, they're going to bless it to make it sure it meets all the legal requirements.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. And so it's a comprehensive 3-dimensional analysis of what the burgeoning industry is, which means unregulated, or in California's eyes, doesn't exist yet. Mm-hmm. Although we exist, we're here, right?
It's the number one economy in the state, but they still don't think it's important.
Largest cash crop, right? So we're going to come out of Sunshine sometime in November. There'll be a hearing. Stakeholders will get called to the table. Stakeholders doesn't just mean the industry. It means anybody who could be impacted by the industry, and that includes the industry, it includes the movement, it includes
the people who are against it.
Includes public safety and health, the police chiefs and narcotics officers.
The neighbors,
community organizations, realtors, California Medical Association, which came in and endorsed us, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Which was a huge, huge boost.
Can I ask you, is that the same bill, Peter, that you looked into when you contacted? Wasn't that Amiano's office?
Yes, it was. So he said
I thought he said it wasn't happening.
His office said it had been
referred for sunshine.
That wasn't his words,
Yeah,
but that's what I think they meant at that point.
Yeah.
They basically said it was dead.
But it
Well,
isn't dead if it's
but it's
being-
not, obviously.
It's not dead. It's dead in this legislative cycle.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So,
So,
it's still
uh,
being examined.
The ledge calendar ended at the end of August.
Because I wanted to do a story about it, but then when they said that,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do anything on it again.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
you're-
to be honest with you, their office really told me that it's no longer valid and they're going back to the drawing board.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you heard that from, I'm not going to say any names on the
Yeah,
show.
it wasn't the actual representative. It was his
No, obviously, they're not
assistant
gonna-
or somebody
right, it
else
was someone
in
in
his
the
office.
office.
So
They may not have
AB
the right
2312 is in Senate B&P.
Okay.
It's being
Cool.
it's being given a sunshine analysis, and there'll be a hearing on it. And next year we will have a new bill, and it will be based on the sunshine analysis that comes out of AB 2312.
Awesome.
So I get a little defensive about that, and I don't like it when people say that my bill is dead.
I
because-
know, because I was very disappointed when I
Yes,
heard
yeah.
that. So I'm really glad to hear it's still alive, and it does have a potential maybe by the next session to really do something, and that'd be great.
Yeah, and I guess technically speaking, there will be a new bill, and
So we'll wait for the next revision to come out before we talk about it, because right now it's kind of in limbo until that's done.
yeah, and
Okay.
and there's things in there that can really help us. Legislators were really reluctant. This is an election year, a heavy election year. A lot of them are running for re-election. Some of them are running for higher office. There's a lot of they were just very cautious this time around.
Well, haven't you noticed? I mean, this is just something I've seemed to have picked up on, is that there seems to be a movement now in the opposite direction of supporting marijuana, where before majority Californian governments and everybody else was all in favor of this. I think they all thought it was going to turn the economy around. Things were going to happen. Now, like in Lake County, for example, the sheriff who got elected on the platform that he was pro-marijuana and wasn't going to bother the growers is now busting everybody in sight that he can get any complaint on, he goes after. So, and then, of course, we saw the same thing on the federal level with Eric Holder. So do you think that kind of started a trend when he made his turnaround? He's now making everybody else turn around, and we're getting this domino effect? Or what do you think is
I
the
wouldn't say
basis?
that Holder made a turnaround. I would say more that they probably didn't understand what they were getting into with the Ogden memo, and I think that I have to be really cautious here. This is 2 weeks out before the election. UFCW has overwhelmingly endorsed Obama for president, and I support the president 1,000%.
Well, there's certainly no other choice if you're going to pick one of the red or the blue.
yeah, and the fact of the matter is the Obama is the only chance we have for medical marijuana, unless Gary Johnson got elected.
Well, would the UFCW support a third-party candidate?
We're deeply entrenched in the Democratic Party. We are the backbone of the Democratic
Right.
Party. I'm on the state party.
Everybody
I mean,
says
you
unless-
really think Obama's going to change his mind?
I think that there's so we have just developed a program. There's a group called C20, and I don't mean UFCW developed this, but we are a member of C20 and C8, and so C8 and C20 have developed a program called Freeze and Review, and so this is a campaign that we're doing nationally. And we have a political director, and we have a field director, and we're running it just like a campaign. And it's a phrase and a slogan, but it's also designed to, it's out there to ask the Justice Department to ask Holder to freeze what's going on, and then asking the Attorney General, Eric Holder, to review what the process is, and while that's happening, allow states and their regulations in the various forms to continue to work while there's a review of what's going on. We've all seen the Attorney General testify under oath that the Justice Department is going to respect states' provisions, and that is a quote. We will respect states' provisions. When you look at the components in that statement, you see that a definition of respecting the assertion of the 10th Amendment could be derived from that statement. We don't think that the Attorney General is really clear on what is happening what some of the U.S. attorneys are doing. In California, we have a statute, and I can't remember the number of it. I believe it was AB 2665 or 2556. It was Joan Buchanan's bill, and it created a state statute that says 600 feet from schools. Mm-hmm. So that's a law. That's a state law, state provision. When the Attorney General testifies that they're going to respect state laws or provisions, California has a state law of 600 feet. But yet it was Melinda Haig and the U.S. attorneys in California who first devised the 1,000-foot policy that they're enforcing that's based on a sentencing enhancement, a federal sentencing enhancement. And this is why a lot of people want to do 99 plants or 49 plants or 24 plants.
To keep below the federal.
Well, it's based on those sentencing enhancements. So when they are enforcing a policy of 1,000 feet, but yet the U.S. the Attorney General is testifying under oath before the House Judiciary Committee that the U.S. Justice Department's policy is to respect states and their provisions, that's a clear discrepancy. And but we don't think that they actually have a grasp on that. We don't believe that the Justice Department in D.C., that the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General Cole, Holder, or many of the higher-ups actually are clear on what's going on. And so what we're doing is asking for a freeze. Stop. Look at what the U.S. attorneys are doing. John Walsh, the U.S. attorney in Colorado, has a similar but much more appropriate approach, even though it's still not in line with what the Attorney General is testifying to. He's got 1,000 feet on schools. Here in California, we have 1,000 feet on schools, parks, recreational centers, bus stops, anywhere where children congregate. You know, next it's going to be ice cream shops. Next it's going to be where anybody breathes. Next it's going to be 1,000 feet within, Martian moon landings, because it's an evolving policy. So recently we saw letters, forfeiture letters go to Harborside,
yes,
in Oakland, which is 1,006 feet.
Unbelievable.
By the toughest measurements from a school or a park or recreational center. And there we saw the Attorney General, or the U.S. Attorney, Melinda Haig, say, well, I went after Harborside because they're too big. And because they're so large, the potential for something going wrong is something that I'm going to go after.
So they're guilty before they've even committed
Is this
a crime.
a Minority Report?
Yeah. So in other words, there's no clear
So afraid for our government
activity.
now.
When Buchanan did her bill, sorry, Pete.
No, sorry.
When Buchanan did her bill in 2010 on 600 feet from schools, well, the entire industry said, okay, fine. We've got a law, so everybody had to move, right? And everybody packed up and moved. When you move a dispensary, you could be looking at $1 million. Folks that are paying, you pay $2 a square foot for office space. Dispensaries pay $12 and $15 a square foot. They have to pay 2 years' rent up front. If you have a 20,000 square foot facility and you're paying $15 a square foot, it could cost you $1 million to move.
Sure.
So everybody moved when Buchanan's 600-foot law went into effect. Then the U.S. attorneys came out with the 1,000-foot policy. People had to move again. They did. There's another $1 million.
Yep.
Now, most people that are being affected are the best operators. They are the most dignified, the most
Harborside
sincere.
is like stellar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these other,
Sleazy ones.
sleazy places that pop up here and they pop up there.
Yeah.
I try to stay positive in my references to have a really disciplined vernacular.
Well, good for you. I'll let you do all the talking.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Should I shut
It's
up?
quite all right.
No, I have a quick comment. I'm far from an expert in this industry, and that your expertise and knowledge of all the bills and the laws. I mean, I don't even come close to that. My problem is you keep on saying, well, Holder said this under oath. Holder said this under oath. He's a liar.
Yeah,
He has committed perjury. No, hang on. Let me finish. He has committed perjury already once, and he has not been held accountable for that. Plus, who the heck does he think he's going to have control over the DEA? Come on, the DEA and law enforcement do what they want when they want it, and they can ignore the law or interpret the law any way they want.
And they
so
make
whatever
a heap
you
of
may
money
be,
off of us.
so whatever laws are be state-based or federal-based, it's all great. I'm all for good quality laws that we know what the rules are, but that has nothing to do with law enforcement. And when the DEA is coming in, and I'll use the word, bribing local officials with money in their funds to help their cause, the law has nothing to do with it. So with all of what you're trying to accomplish, which is great, the real fact is it doesn't really work because the law is going to do what they want in this industry until someone comes in and says, that's it, hands off. And Obama's not going to do it.
And this coming from a guy who's never smoked a joint in his life.
I say what I feel. And
It's good. Well, I did have one quick question before, and then we'll get back in. Is I want to get your take on, you were very visual during the whole zoning ordinance thing here in Lake County. Can you kind of speak to that law and what you think about how they did that?
And I wish I could tell you how much I agree with you.
Well, I know you have. So you have to be discreet and diplomatic. I don't have to be. I'm a nobody.
I hear you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for saying that. Yeah, here in Lake County, and I'll tell you, as a matter of fact, it's his fault that I showed up here.
His fault?
Yes.
Right.
Can I say your name? Sure. Michael Horner.
Hi, Michael.
Horner, and his address.
In relation to Bobby? Oh, okay.
So we were coming back from. I was coming to the cabin in Clear Lake to rest after we got referred out and sent it B&P on AB 2312. And Michael Horner calls me and says, "You better get to the courthouse because there's 700 people trying to get in the door, and the ordinance is going on." So
I was there that day. I got you on tape.
Can I also say your name, brother? And brother John Brosnan,
Green Farmers.
a direct president of the Lake County Green Farmers, who's also become a dear friend since I've been here, and will probably be a lifelong friend. We all met that day and got into the courthouse, found out what was going on. I was fresh off of the AB 2312 fight and tired, and so came in here and got to know what was going on. And so Clear Lake has always been the place where I hid out.
Okay.
And so that has gone out the window. And so I got here and looked at what was going on, found an urgency ordinance, which is can be kind of scary. Saw the political environment. I've gotten to know Anthony Farrington a little bit and Denise Rushing a little bit, who I both have a tremendous amount of respect for. I've gotten to speak with Supervisor Smith and Comstock, and
you're missing one.
So I try to remain positive on the things that I say.
Whoa, time out.
No. Let it go. He's got his rules. He's not us. He has his rules.
And I have to say, I like Supervisor Smith, and I like Supervisor Comstock, and there's another one. And
he who shall not be named.
And so there was some slight discussions, and I think that at first people perceived me as a carpetbagger. And I am a little bit of a carpetbagger, but I'm also a property owner here in Lake County.
We were called the same thing, by the way.
Yeah. You are?
Yeah. Thank you.
Those are not carpets in my bags. And I handed out people my business card, and they said, "Oh, Washington, D.C., so you're here to push people around." I said, "No, I'm here to hide out at my cabin." And I got drug into this thing, but we really need to address this. And frankly, on my wall in the office, I have a map of the new Emerald Triangle, which is Humboldt, Mendo, and Lake. And
so you don't think Trinity's in it anymore?
Well, I'm going to stay positive. And
I call it the Emerald Cut, because instead of 3 counties, it's 4.
we've actually been calling it the Emerald Octagon.
Oh, there you go. That's
it's
cool.
quickly becoming the Emerald Sicily, because it's starting to look like a boot when you throw in Yuba and Sutter and Butte and Nevada. So one thing I've been wanting to do for a while is get some sort of uniform standard approach to outdoor cultivation. sun-grown, as we call it in the union, a phrase that was coined by my friend Steve D'Angelo at Harborside, and has been being used by the Emerald Growers Association for some time. And the Emerald Growers is a merger between the Humboldt Growers and the Mendocino Grown Associations, which we work hand in hand with. And I'd like to think we had a little bit to do with them coming together. And so it is my personal goal to develop the first outdoor policy, real policy approach to sun-grown medicine and all the components that go along with it. The Unity Coalition, which is the folks that did AB 2312, we were the first people to ever write policy beyond Mendocino County that referred to environmental issues, that referred to watersheds, appropriate water diversion, reduced carbon footprint, sustainable farming practices.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah.
Because part of the argument is that these guys are doing such damage to the environment. This is their big excuse. You get them to farm sustainably and not be damaging anything, now what are they going to say?
So, and frankly, and we have to be real, there is clear cutting going on, and there are environmental atrocities going on, and there is inappropriate water diversion, and there are increased algal blooms. And we have been dealing with algal blooms in the lake for as long as I can remember. My family goes back to the 1890s in Lake County. My great-great-grandfather was a Pony Express contractor, and so we have been this. I grew up here on the weekends in the summer times. I was one of those carpetbaggers
that helped the economy here survive.
Now I'm the son in the family who is the tax-paying carpetbagger in the county here, which I got to check and make sure my taxes are paid.
Only 5 days left.
Yeah. So when Michael and John and the Green Farmers and the Measure D folks called and said, come here, I said, oh, wow, perfect opportunity to go back to the drawing board on our outdoor cultivation practices. And here's a place where we can develop a real, hopefully tri-county, maybe even 5-county. I just met with Yuba folks and Nevada County folks and Butte folks. I just met Daisy Bram, the woman who had her kids taken by the Yuba County sheriff.
Yes, they're using DPS now to enforce.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so much as they. I would say that one sheriff pulled that routine.
Well, I've heard that that's going to start up in Humboldt too.
I hope not.
I heard that rumor.
And we have some really good, strong folks in Humboldt. Sheriff Mike Downey is a great sheriff. Sheriff Tom Allman from Mendo is a great sheriff.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and they had the 9.31 program. So here's my point. Here in Lake County, we have an opportunity to arrive at a political solution. And what a political solution means is that we have everybody on board with a compromise ordinance where everybody gets a piece of what they want or what they need. We have to think of the communities. We have to think of the environment. We also have to think of the industry. We have to realize that the word commercial and industry are not bad words. We have to realize that those words lead to taxes and to jobs and to healthy, stable environments. It leads to healthy communities and healthy schools. We have this great outdoor sun-grown label potential here. Patients all over California are rushing to buy sun-grown medicine with the high CBD contents, which we all used to call Pretendica, because it looked good and it smelled good, but it didn't get you as stoned. But now we're finding from Israeli science, government-driven university data science reports in Israel that tells us that CBDs are really, truly antioxidants, and they do
absolutely
retard the growth of cancer.
And doctors are recommending juicing now, which requires so much more product, which to me is a lot of reason why these guys are growing a lot more than what the county thinks is appropriate.
Right.
You know, there's quantities there that have to be ingested.
So our goal here now is not only to See, and I really want everybody to hear this, and especially the county supervisors, and especially the county administration, and especially the farmers and the gardeners. We have an opportunity here to create a healthy, vibrant ordinance that is a compromise ordinance. And in the world of politics, when you say a compromise deal, what that means is it's a victory. You're saying victory on all sides. We came to a compromise ordinance. Many people don't want to hear compromise because they think they had to give in. But in our case, if we can come to a compromise scenario with a real ordinance that everybody is defending, that we come together and we defend ourselves against the U.S. attorneys. We defend ourselves against the criminal cartels and the environmental criminals and the other people
Right.
who are just out there doing their own thing.
Right.
If we get to this
Exporters, that's another issue.
yes. Now we've got a couple of county supervisors that are really trying to help, and not just in Lake County, but also in Mendo and also in Humboldt. So we can actually develop a tri-county components ordinance that we can defend together.
Right.
And that we can also enforce together.
I love it.
Well,
And
we're-
participate in together.
Weren't you on that track, though, with the volunteer committee that was formed with the two supervisors?
Unfortunately, the volunteer committee, though, was undisciplined and it was also unarmed. Okay, and the thing that we have to do here, when you have a committee like that, when you have an ad hoc committee, or when you have something that is not empowered or is vulnerable, what you have to do, what we have to do is we have to get together as an industry, as gardeners, as farmers, as citizens and communities, and we have to raise money and build a war chest. We have to be ready for a signature gathering campaign. We have to be ready for a referendum. We have to be ready for initiative. It doesn't mean that we're going to do that. It means that that's what we're going to empower our committee with, to go to the table and say, we want to be taken seriously. We are here, and you're not going to be able to yank the carpet out from under us at the last minute and have us fleeing to try to raise money to do this stuff. We're coming to the table. We're ready to negotiate. We can go to war if we have to, but we don't want to go to war. What we want to do is sit at the table and negotiate a compromise situation, a compromise ordinance that works for everybody in a healthy way, for the community, for the farmers, for the patients, for the county, and stop this war and stop this insanity of going to court and beating each other up and tearing each other up and letting the county suffer and letting our schools suffer and letting the county hospitals suffer. We're going to go to the table armed and ready to go with a war chest and the lawyers and everything. And I hope everybody hears that, because that's where we're heading and that's what we want to do. If we have to do recall campaigns, we'll do them. We don't want to do them. If we have to file an initiative, we'll do it, but we don't want to do it. If we have to bring in lawyers and battleships and destroyers and all that stuff, we will, but we don't want to. What we want to do, and we will come to the table ready to negotiate this compromise settlement. Everybody will be embraced and everybody will be considered, and everybody will also be able to walk away and do what they have to if they have to. That's our plan. That's how you do it politically, and anybody with good political sense knows that that's the process that will work. That's what we're here determined to do, and I got to tell you, I will meet anyone anywhere. Main Street, side street, back street. I'll talk to you. I'll negotiate with you. I'll work for you. I'll help you. I'll fight with you if I have to. But our members in this county will not get walked over, and this county and the love that I have for it will not get left to the side because people are too stupid or too stubborn or they don't have the experience. We have the experience in this process, and we will help this county arrive at what we need to arrive at, and we can avoid the recalls and we can avoid all that stuff if people are just smart enough to sit down and work together.
Okay. Well, I'd like to be, we've got a phone call. Pete, if you want to get your point.
One quick question. In your communications, do you feel the powers to be in this county are receptive to that?
I'm overwhelmed with the reception that we're getting.
Great.
So we have a positive movement.
So far, yes.
Excellent,
Good,
excellent.
okay.
Okay, and before we go to the phone call, how can people get a hold of you?
That's a good question. So Matt's going to kill me.
Well, do you want to think about it for a minute? We'll
Yeah,
take this call, and you can figure out which is the best way to go.
Actually, you can email me.
Okay,
me
good.
at drush at U as in United, F as in food, C as in commercial, W as in worker, .org. drush at ufcw.org, or you can email Matt Whitmire at Matt, M-A-T-T-W, at ufcw5.org. And that's your local
That's
here
the
in
local.
Lake County is UFCW Local 5 for cultivators.
Sweet. Okay, let's go over to the phone. Hello, you're on the air.
Right on. Thank you very much. I appreciate it a ton. War on drugs is war on people.
Yes.
And we're beginning to realize this. Listen, people, drugs don't sit in jail. Your kids, your mom, whoever it is that gets busted goes to jail for drugs. And I'm pretty much sick of it. And I don't think we need outside help here with this at all. And I have way more confidence that our local sheriff could handle the problem, the tiny problems that we have. If he's overwhelmed and overgunned, then, okay, that's one thing. But, I don't see this as a gigantic problem. I see this as a gigantic opportunity. Here's a little tidbit for you. It's official this morning. There is not a single Lake County property for sale that has a trailer on it. When I first started coming here, you could find 50 trailers on property, and there's
Wow.
not a single one for sale. And I'll bet you $5 the taxes are paid up right now as they have never been before.
Yep.
So it's not about whether it's coming.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, you're on the air.
And this is Al from Upper Lake. I'm just glad you got all this information coming out on the show. And, I'm the one that kind of coined the keep the powder out of my hood. Well, here's another one. Legitimize, don't stigmatize.
Very
because
good.
We really
that.
are. And, don't panic. It's sun-grown organic. people that live in San Francisco have to go to the store every day to get their tomatoes and potatoes and corn. Somebody is allowed to grow that. They also need true viable medicine, and that is what we grow up here.
That's
They
right.
do want
Best in the world.
Outdoor, sun-grown, organic, and you do have to be a little bit. You're going to have to do security and stuff like that. But there's no reason why. The Sicilian, whatever we're getting to, we called it the pentangle there for a while. Because you got to throw in Siskiyou, Del Norte,
Right.
Even parts of Shasta, but don't travel there if you're.
But thank you. I appreciate that. We got to keep moving. We got another call.
Medicine is food.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, I noticed last week or the week before when the rulings were so against the preconceived narrow spirit ordinances, then the next week the sheriff's talking about always bringing the DEA because of the problem in Clear Lake, as if it's all narcotics problems. Like, yes, they get riot gear for them because they're so tough. And then really send everybody with 250 warrants up here.
Yeah.
That's some...
There's no rhyme or reason to it. That's
Thank
true.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, we love our callers here. We have the best callers in the world.
Oh, I love Lake County.
Yeah, they're so intelligent. They get it, and it's a good thing. A lot of them are still, sheeple following along the path, but, they're waking up. A lot of them are waking up, and we're happy to have that. Okay, so we have about 5 more minutes that we can spend with you. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about?
So let me kind of talk about a little bit of a vision here. Since I've really gotten involved in, since my life has become medical marijuana, medical cannabis, I've come to learn some things, and so I come out of the political side of the union, and I've always had the determination of using politics to organize industries into the union. Obviously, I'm a union person, and I believe deeply, it's my religion, in unions and collective bargaining and community organizing and participation, and something that, my vision here in Lake County, in the Emerald Triangle, in the northern California counties, we're the Mecca. This is where it started. We started outdoor in Northern California, and the industry is going to come back to outdoor in Northern California. We found the best cannabis here, and now we're finding that our sun-grown is the most medically beneficial cannabis there is, and that's being proven by government-driven university studies in Israel. And these are not a joke, and Israel is not a drug-loving country. As a matter of fact, you can still get life in prison for marijuana, but they have embraced medical marijuana, and they understand the difference.
Interesting.
And that's something I want our supervisors in our county here to understand, the difference between criminal marijuana and medical cannabis.
I think a lot of them do get the difference. The problem is that a lot of the users are being given prescriptions by doctors when they're not really ill, because there's certain doctors that believe it should be legalized, and therefore, as their way of protest, they are giving people prescriptions for 99 plants that aren't even sick, basically, and there's a lot of that going on.
And frankly, those doctors are hurting us.
They are.
And I would hope that they would stand back and look at what they're doing, and we also, as an industry in a community, in a movement, also have to help spread the discipline in the message of stop hurting us and start helping us.
Exactly.
And doing the right thing. So we can actually have cannabiseries here, like wineries. Cannabiseries.
That's what I wanted to do.
I like that.
We can maintain the cottage industry and keep the family farm and the sustainable practices just like they have in Napa and here now in Lake County.
And have places where people can come and heal and ingest this wonderful plant.
But one thing our folks have to understand, our gardeners and our farmers have to understand, that you have to have a business structure. You
Exactly.
have to be filed. You have to keep records. You have to hire people.
But what do we do about the IRS who says that it's an illegal business? They don't want you paying taxes because that's how they're going to get you in the end, is to get you for taxes because you're an illegal business.
Help is on the way.
Good.
Okay,
I'm so glad.
we're at work in Washington, D.C. We're working in Denver, which is the capital there, and in Salem and Washington and Sacramento and California. And frankly, before I got into cannabis, that's what I did. Legislation and statewide ballot initiatives.
Sweet.
We really know what we're doing.
That's awesome.
And we're in an industry, these are our industries, so we get taken very seriously politically on this. We can build brick and mortar facilities here to make edibles and other
good, like factories and
types of
things,
medicine.
processing plants.
And that creates
hemp.
jobs.
Hello.
And hemp and textiles.
Take the waste product from everything that's grown here. We would have fuel, we would have clothing, we would have paper. I mean, there's so many things that we could manufacture right here in Lake County.
And so that's the point, is we are changing the laws. The laws are getting changed, and when these laws change and it is appropriate and legal to do these things, we have a tremendous opportunity to create jobs and an economy here in Clear Lake that also serves the tourist economy. Instead of agritourism, canatourism, the lake, we can clean up the lake with this industry. We can create thousands of sustainable single earner union jobs here in the county. We can have we can have a life here that Lake County, we can keep it down to where we want it to, and we can also have it to where we've never had it before.
Awesome. And, this could go on all day with you, but our time is up. I thank you so much for coming in here, because I know you're giving everybody out there a lot of hope. There's been a very desperate attitude because of the sheriff and the federal agents coming in and stuff, and people are feeling afraid in a lot of ways. So I think that you're helping them alleviate that fear, and thank you for doing that.
One little thing, we've got some meetings coming up. We're reaching out to the community. We want the farmers and the gardeners in the community to come to the meeting on October 12th.
Friday night, 6:30.
Friday night, 6:30, October 12th at
Oddfellows Hall.
Upper Lake Oddfellows Hall. We're gonna put our plan out there. We're organizing this community. We need to raise money. We need to get everybody involved. We need you to come join UFCW.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. That's Dan Rush. If you want to get a hold of him, it's drush@ufcw.org. He's with the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, and they are unionizing the growers, guys. Get your memberships now. That's all I can tell you. And before we head out, we want to remind everybody, all players and dancers, to please come out for the Lucy Moore Foundation Players and Dancers Co-ed Softball Tournament and Prayer Dance. That's going to be Saturday and Sunday over at Upper Lake County Park. They need teams. They need dance groups, volunteers, donations. If you want to get involved in this, go to Facebook and Facebook Clayton Duncan or call 274-6788. Everyone is welcome, and all proceeds go to the Lucy Moore Defense Fund. And this just confirmed Tachia Ahmet will be performing on Saturday at 6 p.m. Did we hear anything about Without a Net? Did they get back to you?
Nobody got back to me.
Okay, so we're still waiting to hear about some other entertainment, but there will be more entertainment on site. So thank you so much for joining us. This is Terry Larson.
And Pete the Tax Guy.
And this is Lake County Magazine. We'll see you all next week. You'll be able to catch up this interview with Dan Rush on our website, lakehomemagazine.com. Thank you very much.
And we just got donated.
This is your news channel.
Welcome back. It's 4:20 on the hour, and coming up, we've got a story about an ancient plant that many are saying could save the world. More after this.